And if you're new to the channel, smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and lock in with us for MMA picks and analysis every single event, PFL, UFC, and more. This is the Darce Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm and applies pressure against the neck, leading to a tap or unconsciousness. The Darce, on the other hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. The Darce Podcast returns, coming back for you for a PFL episode. PFL 3, welterweights and featherweights going at it. And we're coming off UFC 300, insane card, and the action does not stop. Whether it's UFC or PFL, we got you guys covered with breakdowns, betting angles. I'm here with my guys, Mr. Plus, Slick Montana, and our guy Cal on the ones and twos doing his thing. We can't wait to break these down, man. It's a pretty good matchup of fights, so I'm excited the PFL is giving us some action. Let's get right into things right away. We're going to do 2 prelim fights, and we'll get right into the main card. I want you guys to take, kind of quick hitter takes for these 2 worthwhile prelim fights I think we should talk about. And the first one is a big debuting guy that everyone's very excited about, the Dagestani, Timur Khizriev, taking on Brett Johns. Khizriev, undefeated fighter. Slick, do you think that he will come with all the hype that's behind him?
Yeah, man, he's not as dangerous as everybody expects. He's just one of those types of guys that he just basically, what's the word I'm looking for? He just aggressively wrestling you. He doesn't give you any chance to breathe. He has great control. I think in this fight, I think he has a matchup that he definitely would like. I think the Brett Johns is definitely going to try to implement his type of wrestling too. I just think Khizriev is going to be the better wrestler in this matchup. So give me Khizriev.
Yeah, Mr. Plus, it is grappler versus grappler here, but Khizriev, like Slick kind of alluded to, not that dangerous necessarily. He just will control you. He will out-grapple you, and he's getting a grappler. So do you think it's that simple? The better grappler gets it done here?
I definitely think that Brett Johns might have a little bit more tools in his bag. However, Khizriev is a stronger, more aggressive, always moving forward wrestler. And Brett Johns being a great grappler and wrestler too, he's probably going to try and take him on in his own game and see if he can, hang with him. I do feel like once we see who's stronger and more powerful, then we might see a different game plan. So I do expect Brett Johns to maybe step back, use his hands a little bit. We've seen him throw before. He's not great on the feet, but he will throw down. And in this fight, in this fight game, you got to use your IQ. However, yeah, I think it's Khizriev's day. He's undefeated for a reason. It's a big debut. He's going to be a bigger name. I just think he's going to be the more powerful guy in the octagon, or whatever they call it over here at PFL.
The PFL smart cage, that is. Yeah, right now Khizriev minus 240, Johns plus 190. Johns does have a notable win over Montel Jackson, which is aged like fine wine. But in this one, I do ultimately agree. I think Khizriev will out-grapple him. Minus 240 tag, though, not running to bet it. I'm going to watch this one, see how he looks in the first PFL fight of his career. Next fight, the featured prelim, and then we'll jump right into the main card, fellas. We have Adam Borch taking on Enrique Barzola. An exciting fight here. Borch is a guy that I've been watching for a while. Hungarian dude. He's good everywhere, man. He's dangerous. He's putting away guys with low kicks. He's got good striking, and he can grapple too, for sure. He's taken on a greasy fighter, as Cal called him right before the show. Enrique Barzola, just veteran that can get it done kind of anywhere. Will not go away. Will make you scrap him. And I think it should be a good fight. Line is on the move. Borch and Barzola coming down closer to a pick'em now. Guys, I think I like the line move for the favorite, Adam Borch. I think that in his last performance, he got worked by Pitbull, but Pitbull's one of the best to do it, and Borch just couldn't really hang. He took a lot of time off after taking a good deal of damage in that fight. You like to see that after you take bad damage, and I think Borch comes back, I don't want to say better than ever, but just as good as he was before. I think he's just a level above Enrique Barzola, who's a good, hard-nosed veteran, but I don't think he'll have enough to get it done. Mr. Plus, what do you think about this featured prelim of the night?
I started looking at it more and more when you told me what side you were on, because honestly, I was on the Peruvian dude first, and he's made me some money before Barzola. He's a dog, man. When he's in the smart cage, he's not a joke, man. He'll throw down any which way. The guy likes to grapple. He likes to be stronger person in there. I don't know if that's going to be the case with Borch, but yeah, what does scare me is 18 months off, man. 18 months off. You're right. He took a severe amount of damage, and you like to see about, I'd say closer to like 8 to 12 months for that kind of damage. A year and a half is a little bit much. But so we are going to see him. Is the ring rust real? We're going to find out. I think this is a real good test. This fight, I think it moved all the way down to a pick'em. Like Cal was telling us. And man, I do see some value on Borch with that. His only loss was to Pitbull in his last 5 fights, man. That's a good L, right? Maybe he comes back with vengeance. However, you can't sleep on these Peruvian dudes, man. They put their heads down. They're ready to bang. Slick, what do you think? I got to lean Borch.
The Peruvian's got a chin. Slick, do you think that Barzola can make this nasty, make it an ugly fight, and the line move is justified? It should be closer to a pick'em, or do you think we're getting good value on Borch now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Espinosa is definitely going to be. I mean, Barzola is definitely going to be able to implement that type of game plan. But I just don't think it's going to work because I just think Adam Borch is as big of a dog as Enrique Barzola. And one good thing that we didn't see in that Pitbull fight was that Borch has great kicks, man, and he wasn't able to use them kicks against Pitbull in that fight because he actually tore his ACL, I think, in the first round. He said that he took the time off so he could really recover on that. And then plus, I believe he even said that that was one of his first injuries in his whole career. So he wanted to see how he would come out healthy out of that. So I guess he took his rehab a little bit serious than most people would. But I don't doubt him. You know, I think this is a guy that was thriving before that Pitbull fight. And I'm going to take him in this fight, man. I think he lands the more damaging shots. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets Barzola out of there in the second or third round. So give me Borch money line.
There we go. The fellas all on Borch. I agree with it. Cal, is it unanimous for you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's value there. I think if you get a guy like Barzola at plus 190 initially, who's going to maybe grind out a decision, and it could happen, it could get Gracie on the judges' decisions, there's value on that plus 190. But once the line moves and he's now the favorite, and I have a guy who has more damage and probably wins bigger moments on the feet, and potentially could even get him out of there. Yeah, I just think that Barzola, his wrestling hasn't really translated as well since 2022 or 2021 when he had moved up to bantamweight. So I just think that the line movement, I get it, but not as far as it went. I think I would line this up at a minus 140 for Borch. But yeah, man, I think there's value there. I think jump on it now at minus 110 if you can. Now, this is Bet Online as one of the early lines. It's only one book that's out there. There's going to be a bunch of books that come out with lines. See where the line's at, but there's value there. Cheers, guys.
Good note from Cal there. Unanimous for the squad here on the Darce podcast. We're all liking Borch, but good note from Cal is that these lines are really not out yet, right? Just check your, FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars. You're not going to find them yet. In fact, you can barely find, odds around. You got to, go hawking around the internet just to see what the odds makers are looking at so far. So watch as they come out, see where the line moves. We're getting you early takes in the week and giving you guys our best sides based on where the line is now. So watch for updates and moves. All right, into the main card we go. PFL 3 regular season. And first fight on up the card, we have it's Bubba Jenkins taking on Kai Kamaka III. Interesting matchup here. Bubba Jenkins coming off getting knocked out by Jesus Pinedo, a guy that shocked the world, went on to win the $1 million. Guy's an absolute dog. And Jenkins, good wrestler, powerful guy, can get to your back and implement chokes, but also just really good at keeping the right, strong guy, veteran at this point, taking on Kai Kamaka, who's a veteran at 28 years old. The guy's been in PFL, UFC, and Bellator. He's done every promotion. He's been in a lot of really close fights, a couple split decisions that probably should have went his way that didn't. Good hard-nosed fighter. He's decent everywhere, but he's been implementing his wrestling more recently too, and will probably be the more comfortable striker in this matchup. I have to imagine another hard-nosed Hawaiian guy. Slick, this is a good fight right now. Kamaka short underdog, only about plus 100 range. I'm seeing Jenkins minus 130 favorite. I would have expected to see it a little wider, thinking although Jenkins coming off a knockout loss, he's probably the pick that most people will make. Do you think Jenkins gets his wrestling off in this matchup and gets it done with the grappling?
Yeah, I just think a lot of people are going to be down on him because of that Pinedo loss. And no doubt about that, man. Pinedo is as tough as they come. And I just think Bubba Jenkins is going to be able to make this fight one of those types of fights that he's just dirty against the clinch, implement his type of wrestling. And I just don't think Kai Kamaka is going to be able to do enough on the feet to really maybe steal around. Or let's say Bubba Jenkins takes him down, steals 3 minutes, and then they're back on their feet. I just don't think he's going to be able to land that big shot. And we've seen a guy like Henry Corrales, who I actually bet on against Kai Kamaka as I would say a small underdog. And I thought he did. I thought he did enough to really get that win. He made the fight dirty. He was throwing big hooks, and I just see Bubba Jenkins actually being able to at least probably land one and get the respect from Kai Kamaka early, and then he will have to worry about the wrestling. And then once the wrestling gets going, it's gonna be all Bubba Jenkins. So give me Bubba Jenkins at this price tag at -130.
There you go, Slicks on Jenkins. Mr. Plus, do you agree with Slick's breakdown?
I couldn't agree more. That was an excellent analysis, Slick Montana. Off the wall, correct. I just break off the wall and right back. You know, when it comes right back, it's a perfect shot. I love exactly what we're saying. I love the -130 take. I got to ride with Bubba Jenkins. There's only 2 losses, although he did get knocked out. And I think the refs were pretty good at stopping both of these. Were Pinedo and Brandon Lochnan in his super prime when he won the million. So I do like Bubba Jenkins to control the fight. Kai Kamaka is a former UFC guy, so don't get me wrong. He's definitely a dog. He's not going to just let Bubba win. However, I think, like Slick said, Bubba will implement that game plan of the clinch, the close encounter, the hit him one time, earn the respect, maybe hold him, control him, use his wrestling, use that ground game. Yeah, I'm all over that, man. I see it all day. I think he takes his back at some point in this fight. I like Bubba Jenkins. I think he could even maybe get it done inside the distance, which doesn't happen all the time with Bubba Jenkins fights, you know, because he's a wrestler primarily. But I do like him, man. I think Bubba Jenkins on the comeback this season.
There you go. So you guys, Mr. Plus and Slick, both thinking, hey, the knockout loss to Pinedo now presents value on Jenkins because getting him maybe at a shorter price tag than you might have if he wasn't coming off a bad result. I know Cal.
So this is actually my podcast, Moneyline Play of the Week, and I think a couple things line up here. I think when a guy gets knocked out, it sort of happens. It is what it is. The Lochnan loss is Lochnan's so high level, his leg kicks destroy anybody. Pinedo is just a tough Peruvian guy who just landed a big shot. And for Jenkins, it's hard sometimes for him to measure his gas tank. That's the only thing you worry about him. But when it comes down to it, this matchup, if you look at Kai Kamaka, he leaves his hips open for takedowns. On top of that, he relies on his kicks in his stand-up game. So he has decent hands, but he uses his kicks defensively, throwing teeps out to keep you away. He also throws leg kicks, and he sort of paws out his lead leg. That's not a good recipe against a wrestler. Jenkins is going to snatch that stuff up. And I think you can't just, if you have a habit of throwing those kicks out there regularly, they're going to be out there. At -130, I think this is a buy low spot. I think this is recency bias based on the KO loss. And I think the level doesn't change just because you get caught. So that's the way I look at this fight. Money line, -130. I just think there's value on it. So I'm with the guys. And yeah, Bubba Jenkins, let's go.
So Slick, Mr. Plus, and Cal all on Bubba Jenkins. Let me be the dissenting party then. We're a hung jury because I'm not buying it. Now, I'm not putting too much stock in the knockout loss. Pinedo, absolute dog, like Mr. Plus mentioned. Lochnan, nasty, right? That was him at his peak right there. I just kind of like the development of Kai Kamaka. I know Cal's got some criticisms on his style, but a 28-year-old that's been in 3 different promotions, a lot of split decisions. He's hard-nosed. He will not go away. And I think I like a lot what I heard in an interview recently. He says this is the perfect matchup of opponent for him based on what he's been training for. He really likes Bubba Jenkins' open stance. I think it's as simple as this. Now, this won't be simple to do, but if he can sprawl a couple takedowns and make it tough for Jenkins to get him down, what's the plan B for Jenkins? You know, I'm kind of done betting on wrestling or bust guys. And I think at 36 years old, getting knocked out twice in the last year and a half, of course, to great competition. I'm not saying Kamaka's on their level. The line is short for a reason, I think. So I'm going to wait to bet it. I'm going to see where it goes because I do imagine people will end up betting Jenkins. If I can get a good price tag on Kai Kamaka, I feel like he's a hard-nosed kid that I'm willing to, back as a dog here. And maybe it does get to a nasty split decision. He's been so many of them. Maybe he gets another nod, much to Slick's chagrin in the last one against Corrales. But I'm going to take the shot on it. It'll be a small bet for me, maybe half a unit, and I'm going to go against my boys and go with Kamaka. But you heard a great breakdown on why they all like Bubba Jenkins. Take it for what you will. I'm on the other side. Good luck whichever way you're going. Next fight on up the card, we have the rematch that no one asked for, as my boy Slick likes to say. It's Yamaguchi, I can say it, taking on Neiman Gracie. And when these guys fought last, Yamaguchi rinsed him. I mean, my God, he put a beating on him. Wherever the fight was going, he was dominating it. Eventually put him away with a nasty uppercut, but he was tossing him around, doing whatever he wanted. They're making the rematch. Mr. Plus, this is something I've heard you say before. When you beat one guy, especially you beat him bad and you have the rematch, you're just so mentally confident, right? You know you can get him again. Do you think it'll be that simple and Yamaguchi just does his thing?
I do. I do. I think this is great. I think this is a great parlay piece. I think that Goiti is going to go out there and rinse him again. Not really sure why he's taking a rematch. Maybe he's got something to prove to himself, but he's just better. He's a lot of fun to watch, this Goiti guy. This is a very exciting fighter. He'll go out and brawl. He'll go out and he's a calculated brawler. We say it all the time. This is one of those guys, man. He'll get you everywhere. He'll go to the body. He'll go up top. Should I say he's little Max Holloway in his hands? Dude, the guy's got some hands. He's very exciting to watch. And I think this is a no-brainer, man. And it's not even going to be close again. Again, not sure why the rematch is happening, but I'm going with Goiti. I think he's going to be a big favorite for everybody for good reason. But I like the take. I think it's only minus 230, minus 240.
Yeah, minus 225. We could do a Darce PFL parlay, and Yamauchi would definitely, I agree with you. I would add him into that. I don't see why Gracie turns the tides in this fight. Slick, what are you seeing in this matchup the second time around?
I see the same first fight that I seen. Like this, I just don't know why this fight is happening. Gracie in that first fight didn't shoot one takedown, and that's what he's really known for the takedown and the grappling. And he just didn't do any of it. And even if this fight gets down to the ground, I trust Yamauchi on the ground too. He's a great grappler in his own right. He just rather strike with people. And I think he just gets the job done again easily. I think this fight he's going to be coming in more confident with the hands. So he's not going to be scared to get taken down or anything. So go to Yamauchi in a parlay.
Yamauchi parlay piece, we like it. Minus 225. That's definitely going to be on the move, right? Anyone that watches that last fight, when they start showing the highlights and promotion for the PFL, that line's going to climb. So if we want to get this going, maybe we grab him early and parlay him. That would probably be my best advice. Next fight on up the card. It's another good one. I like this card a lot, fellas. We got Gabriel Braga taking on Justin Gonzalez. And Braga has taken some time off. He was supposed to face a couple good matchups, one of which was Aaron Pico, who's probably my favorite fighter in this promotion now that Bellator has merged with them. But here he comes taking on a good test, I think, of Justin Gonzalez. Stylistically, it might be a tough matchup. This is pretty much striker versus wrestler, right? Gonzalez is going to look to take this fight to the floor. Braga's going to look to keep it standing. I like Braga's boxing and his low kicks. Justin Gonzalez, though, he's not going to go away. He's going to rinse and repeat takedowns. Braga doesn't have the best takedown defense. So, I really like Braga, but it's been a lot going on in his life. Sadly, his father was murdered in a case of mistaken identity by drug traffickers who thought he was someone else. So terrible stuff. That happened fairly recently. So some tragedy in his personal life. I wish the best for him and his family. And, I'm going to be rooting for him in this fight. But stylistically, it worries me a little bit, Mr. Plus. Do you think Braga can stay away from the takedown threats of Justin Gonzalez?
That's going to be the question. That'll dictate whether or not if he can win. Although I do think every fight starts on the feet, and that's where Braga is going to have his advantage. I think that's going to play to his strength, man. I do see Braga staying up, and when he gets taken down, I see him getting back up, man. He is pretty strong. I like Braga, man. And before he did take an L or two, I believe he was on a crazy win streak, and people just couldn't deal with his stand-up. And he's got like a mixed Muay Thai, and it's just awesome, bro. He's great on the feet. I love how strong he is. And I really think this is a comeback spot for him as well, just like the Bubba comeback. So I got to actually ride with Braga. And I like the tag we're getting. I think it's a pretty thin line.
Yeah, about a little over minus 200 favorite. So if you do like it, maybe it's another parlay piece. Speaking of comeback like Bubba, he also got knocked out by Jesus Pinedo. A lot of people have recently. Pinedo's on an absolute tear. And yeah, a couple canceled matchups. Slick and I were looking earlier today to figure out what was it, an injury that he had to pull out of a fight for? Injury's not really reported, kind of undisclosed. So we're not quite sure what the layoff was for. Was it for personal reasons regarding the tragedy I mentioned earlier? We're not quite sure. So some question marks there. Slick, what are you thinking about the matchup? And are you concerned at all with this layoff and kind of uncertain information that we couldn't quite gather?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that from what I've seen from tape study, the takedown defense is just really concerning. And against a guy like Justin Gonzalez that I don't think he's gonna get out of get knocked out with his first couple punches from Braga. Braga not really that type of guy. He's more of a pick you apart type of guy. Implementing damage throughout all 3 rounds. And I just think honestly, I think I'm gonna have to go with the dog in this spot, man. I just think Justin Gonzalez is gonna be able to get this fight down to the ground. And one thing that we've seen from Braga, man, he does tend to stay on his back a lot. He does try to get against the cage and try to get up that way. But once he's out in the middle and he doesn't really have a source to really get back up, he really doesn't have that great get up game. I just think Justin Gonzalez is going to be like one of those types of fights that play out on the feet, just working each other out for the first minute and a half. And then once Justin Gonzalez gets this fight down to the ground, I think he'll be able to control him for at least 2-3 minutes of a round and get a win. So give me Justin Gonzalez by decision, but money line just half a unit.
Very interesting. Gonzalez, the dog pick. Mr. Plus likes Braga. It's really, Gonzalez is not good on the feet. So if it's standing, huge advantage to Braga. And again, Braga's takedown defense has been suspect. I had him big against Chris Wade. He was doing his thing. And then Wade started to come alive at the end. And Braga was just not able to fend off the grappling. And Wade's just pressure. And started to get real nervous. He ended up eking that one out. But we know that there are holes shown in Braga's game. We know Justin Gonzalez, not a very good striker. So let's see who can keep it standing. Cal, you got a side in this one? Any opinion just to weigh in on a debated fight?
I'm glad you came to me on this one because this is one actually I almost made a play, and I'm really big on Braga just because I like his Muay Thai style and his damage. But this is one Billy actually called me out on, and I was sort of trying to find a way to this fight with Braga. And he said, look, Gonzalez is a valid dog. The value that he's at right now, especially too, but the fact that he can get in on the takedowns. The thing about Braga getting taken down is his style. He plots forward almost like Poatan walks to the cage. So when he's plotting forward with that Muay Thai style, Muay Thai guys, if they don't make adjustments, get taken down. A lot of the regional Muay Thai fighters around me right now have really picked up boxing in order to get the footwork down for MMA. So, they want to get away from their sort of habits of Muay Thai, and he still plots forward that way. But I still like Braga. I still like Braga. I think that he could land big shots on the feet and put out Gonzalez. But I don't know if that's just more of me being more of a fan of his style of damage. So Gonzalez he definitely live there. There's the point.
Yeah, good points here. Look, this also, right, big debate in MMA, damage over control, right? So if Gonzalez is getting takedowns, keeping control, does it happen before he takes some damage on the way in? And maybe the judges score the damage instead of the lay and pray, depending on how it looks, right? Gonzalez not necessarily known for his nasty ground and pound. So this is a tough one, man. A lot of debate going on between the fellas. I'm going to pass on it, I think. I'm rooting for Braga, but it's going to be a pass betting-wise for me. So interested to see how this fight plays down. I like the breakdown from everyone here, guys. Next fight on up the card, we have Logan Storley taking on Shamil Musayev. And Storley, good fighter, notably has a win over Michael Venom Page. Speaking of damage versus control, that's one of the fights that you referenced, right? Venom Page landed the bigger shots, but Storley able to keep control, and they scored it for him. It's been a while since then, so we'll see how they like to score it now. And Storley, we know, really good all-around fighter and a really good grappler in wrestling. That's how he gets it done. Storley taking on Shamil Musayev, 16-0-1. Slick, I know you're always deep in the tape study. What are you seeing on the undefeated Musayev? Do you think he's legit, and do you think he's going to give Storley a problem here?
I just don't think that Storley hasn't seen the type of fighter that Musayev is. I'm not really too high on him. He's one of those reckless type of guys, and he's one of those guys that you think just because of his last name, he's a wrestler. He's just not. I just think that a lot of people that I've seen from tape study watching him, he takes advantage of people throwing kicks, and he's able to take them down. I just think Storley is just an all-around great fighter, and he's going to be able to give, I would say, a veteran treatment to Musayev and take his O away. I think Storley, I won't put him in a big parlay, but I think he's really live at -200. I think, like you said, he's able to control dangerous fighters. I just don't think he's not going to be able to implement his type of wrestling also and get this fight down to the ground. So give me Storley, man. I think he gets this win and he takes away Musayev's O.
Slick says that O has got to go. I think I agree with you, man. I don't think Musayev has ever faced a guy quite like Logan Storley, and Storley certainly faced more dangerous opponents, like you mentioned. Mr. Plus, do you like Storley minus 200 here to take the O away from the young undefeated fighter?
Gotta go with Storley, man. This should be an easy one. I like the line. I like the minus 200 or whatever it is. I think the Shamil guy is a wild wrestler. I think the Storley is a very smart wrestler. I think he's going to be stronger. I think he has better experience. And I think he's just going to be the more powerful guy and the more consistent guy in this fight. Better takedowns, more control time. However, this will be a wrestling match. This is going to be boring. Nice time to refill the drink in this fight. But Storley, easy parlay piece. It's kind of one I don't even want to watch either because you might sweat it in some spots. But just Storley, don't look. See you at the next fight.
We're all trusting the veteran wrestler Storley. Yeah, certainly not going to be Holloway Gaethje style matchup here, but we do like Storley to get it done. Cal, any thoughts on Logan Storley?
Storley wrestling, 3+ takedowns, dominant decision. That's how I see it.
That's the only way I see it. Storley decision, 30-27. I may, if you get a spread action going, go Storley minus 3.5. I could see that. So always like an undefeated fighter coming to face a grizzled veteran, and all of a sudden they're just like, wait, it's not working. Start facing that adversity, and it only goes down from there. So we all like Logan Storley. Maybe another leg of the Darce PFL parlay. I like it, fellas. Next fight on up the card, we have Brendan Lochnan taking on Pedro Carvalho. This is a good fight here. Lochnan, though, opening up a big favorite, minus 500 tag on him. And Mr. Plus was talking about him earlier. I mean, we know the kicks are nasty. Taking on Carvalho, who's been around for a while, right? It's pretty good everywhere. Another kind of greasy, grizzly veteran guy. So it should be a fun fight, actually. Just a minus 550 tag. I guess you got to bet Lochnan inside the distance if you want him, or find another method. Even parlaying him doesn't sound great at this tag. How should we bet on Lochnan? I'm just going to assume you're on him, Mr. Plus.
Of course, I like him to win, but I'm not going to be on the tag's no good. No bueno on the minus 500. Just too wide for me. Honestly, if we're a little sneaky here, maybe we go Lochnan by decision. He does go for finishes, but he's got more like pillow hands, man. He's not the most powerful puncher. And I mean, he does got slick submissions, but he's got to get you there first. So I do think he's going to win this fight. But yeah, obviously, I think he wins. Minus 500 is just not something I'm going to bet on.
Yeah, I mean, he has gone decision a lot in his career. The last two fights, or the last two wins, I should say, last three fights, all inside the distance. 2 wins, knockouts over Bubba Jenkins and Marlon Moraes. He had the straight right hand to the knees, and then he had the low kicks on Moraes, nasty. But then he, like many others, got knocked out by Jesus Pinedo. So, Slick, what are you thinking? Because decision is an interesting play. Of course, method's not out yet, but I kind of like that read from Mr. Plus, right? A lot of people maybe just expecting him to put guys away. That's not always been this style. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Lochnan by decision as well. I just think that Carvalho is pretty tough. The only thing worry about him is that he does tend to eat leg kicks pretty easily. But I just think he's going to try to get this fight in the clinch, make it dirty. And I think he's going to tough it out to get to the judges' scorecard. I'm not too high on Lochnan's finishing ability on the feet other than the leg kicks. So give me Lochnan by decision.
I like it. Look at Pedro Carvalho's last loss. Yeah, it was to Aaron Pico, who's an absolute savage. He's my favorite fighter in this promotion. But prior to that, I mean, Jeremy Kennedy went the decision, went the distance with Mads Burnell in a win. He's a guy that can hang in there. So I kind of like his toughness and his veteranness, to be able to get him to the judges' scorecards if he's not eating too many low kicks, which might immobilize him because Lochnan can tap that leg up. Cal, what do you think?
One note with the PFL format, late in the night, you can actually look at some of these guys. Like there's about 4 145ers fighting. I think at least 4 of them that are in the regular season. It is a point system thing, right? So if some of those guys get some finishes, you want to look at Lochnan potentially inside the distance as a change to your bet. I do like Mr. Plus's angle because it's a 3-round fight and not a 5-round fight. I could definitely see this stretching over. Lochnan dangerous with the leg kicks, but definitely could see the decision. But if the other 145ers have ended inside the distance and got those points, you may see Lochnan press for a finish. So that's the only thing about PFL. That's what you got to watch with PFL betting. Sometimes guys secure wins just to get points. Some guys go for it, get more points.
This is a great point. PFL format, of course, right, incentivizes the early start, the early finish. And some guys sometimes can get guys out of their game plan, right, and make them fight too aggressively. But you got to go for the quick 6. So maybe, good point, if guys earlier on in the night are scoring, maybe he goes for it too. Maybe he can coast if they're going to decision. So I like that point a lot. Always look out for the PFL format and how that might impact the fighter's decision, whether to brawl, fight aggressive, or fight smart. I love that point from Cal. Next fight on up the card.
Oh,
What say
real
you,
quick,
sir?
just a point on what Cal said, because I liked all that. That actually made the most sense to me when he just touched there, because that's. But listen, Carvalho's last big win against Mads Burnell, he was a big dog like this. So I do think that he's got that dog in him to last. That's the only reason why. And when you're this, I love PFL just like the next guy does. Like anything besides UFC, that's fine. Just more fights, more fights, more fights. I bet it all last season. And one thing I noticed was in the beginning of the year, you're right, Cal. The veteran guys like Brandon Lochnan, who's been here for a long time, he will go for that finish. However, there were some veterans also, let's say like Bubba Jenkins, that would still just grind it out and say it's my first or second fight of the season. It's not that big of a deal to get that many points yet. As long as I can just win, I'll make it to the next round. So we got to see where Brandon Lochnan's head's at. First year I saw him, he was a monster. He wanted to kill everybody. The second year I saw him, slowed down a lot and then got knocked out by Jesus Pineda, like everybody else.
Yeah, that's right. It's early in the season, so that's another good point there. Early in the season, we'll see how they decide to play it. Still want those points, but still got to get the win. I love it, man. PFL makes it so interesting for that reason. Really cool format they have. All right, guys, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing first, fighting. Nah, I feel like Buffer's going to sue me one day. We have Magomed Umalatov taking on Andrei Koreshkov. As of now, early in the week, odds sit as such, minus 165. Umalatov, plus 135 for Koreshkov. This is a really interesting fight, man. I feel like Koreshkov's going to want to keep it at range, use his kicks. He likes to use those spinning attacks a lot, right? Umalatov probably wants to get in closer, maybe grapple with him, right? Take some of those threats away. I'm really interested to see where you guys are standing on this because I kind of wanted to take a dog shot on Koreshkov. I haven't gotten there fully yet, but I don't know. Something tells me that those kicks might be a problem if he can stay on his feet, of course. Mr. Plus, do you like the plus money tag on Koreshkov or do you think Umalatov gets it done?
This is one of those fights. Umalatov's going to want to take this to the ground, and Koreshkov's going to want to keep the distance. And I'll tell you, he's got those great T kicks, and you're right, those spinning kicks and spinning attacks. And man, I just the tag is like right for the dog here, plus 135. I just feel like somebody's got to lose here. One guy 27-4, the other one's undefeated, a little padded of a record. I got to lean dog with you, Brasco. I don't trust the favorite enough, Umalatov, to be able to just take this to the ground, and Koreshkov's not just going to get back up and again push him off and keep his distance, and he knows what he has to do. And man, one thing when I was watching, when I saw this Koreshkov guy hit, what? When he hits you, bro, you could hear that shit in the third round, in the third row. He hits hard, bro. I do see a world where he could put him down and wobble him, maybe put him out. I don't know, but I got to take the plus money on here. There's just nothing I saw about Umalatov to throw him into parlays or want to take the minus.
Very interesting. Yeah, when he kicks, he lands those body kicks, bang, they hit with a thud too. So dude can crack. Umalatov, to be fair, can crack too, right? He's got knockouts with those hooks where he's got power in his hands. But I think his last fight, he wanted to wrestle a little bit. Is he over at is he at American Top Team now? Maybe they got him wrestling and they said, dude, let's see your full, complete skill set and round it out. So no matter where the fight goes, you have skills. Maybe he was trying to get the wrestling going for that reason, but it would be wise probably to use it again. Slick, do you expect Umalatov to go to, look for takedowns and take this to the ground, or how do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, man. Like you said, this is a guy that has been moved to American Top Team. He's been improving in his wrestling. He was always a wrestler, but he just fell in love with his hands. Started basically just fighting with not including his wrestling in some fights. Like against Delano Taylor, like he just slept him early. And the one thing that I liked about Koreshkov is his inside work, man. I really like his elbows that he throws in the inside. I think Koreshkov could make this fight pretty much dirty and a fight that Umalatov doesn't want to fight. Umalatov wants to fight in that kickboxing type of fight, clean type of fight. One person throws 2 punches, another person throws 2 punches. He's not ready. I just don't think he's gonna be not ready. I think he's ready for the brawl. But I just don't think that's his preferred type of style. I think he wants to keep it clean, implement his type of kickboxing. I mean, his boxing. I think Kurshkov could definitely have moments in this fight. I think, honestly, man, I just don't know. If I had a gun to my head, I would think I would have to lean the dog. But I really love the over in this fight, man. Whenever the odds come out, I think a lot of people are going to look at these guys' records and look at how many finishes these guys have. And I just think these two guys, like, this could be a fight that one person wins one round, the other person wins the other because of moments. And then that third round, it could be anybody's fight. And I think Korshkov could be the more I think the only concern is that if you see him throw 5 spinning kicks in a round, then you'll be a little worried about his gas tank in that second and third. But I think he keeps it a little on the clean side, probably throws at least 1 spinning kick per round, and then just makes this fight a little bit dirty in the inside, implement his elbows. And he does have wrestling in his back pocket also. And if he deters Umalatov, I think Umalatov will be a little worrisome with it if he keeps this fight on the feet after his wrestling is not going so good. So I think Korshkov could definitely get this fight done, but I really love the over once I'm able to bet it.
So we'll see where the lines are at once odds on rounds come out. Slick's looking at this fight to go deep into deeper waters, perhaps. And hey, Koreshkov, when he did the Bellator versus Ryzen promotion, he went to a split decision with Lorenz Larkin in his last one there. That was really cool promotion they set up. So we have seen him go to decision, right? It's not always spinning wheel kick knockouts. And funny enough, going back and watching some of his old fights, he went to decision with Sabah Hamasi. Who would have ever expected that? You mentioned the kicks. It's my one concern. He can get taken down throwing all those kicks. So hopefully he's being smart and, balanced and, like you said, measured with them, not just spamming spinning back kicks. But I think he will be smart. I think this should be a really good fight. Cal, you got to weigh in on the main event for us. What do you got here?
Yeah, guys, I think I'd like the take on the dog. I think it's the reality. The fact is this is a dog or pass. I think Korshkov, with the level of fighting that he's had, this could also be a level up. You haven't seen Molotov fight somebody at, I think, his level. There's a couple guys that are close to, but I don't think that they would stand with him. And the reality of the fact too is I see what Slick's saying. I do think there's going to be a feeling out process. So I do think this does slide over, but I like violence in this spot. So I'm a little bit crazy in the fact that I think it goes late, but I think I like the violence in this spot, just the way that this matchup clashes. I think one guy either dominates on the ground and destroys the other, or one guy dominates on the feet and exposes the lunging power forward of the wrestler, and Korshkov just styles on him and lands a big shot. But yeah, I like the dog. That's the point. Value on the dog.
I think it's unanimous there on the dog. So I like it. The Darce going with the main event dog in PFL 3, Andrei Koreshkov. I like it, guys. All right, well, we got to put together the parlay, but I know we were liking Logan Storley. I know we were liking another favorite earlier on in the card, perhaps even Adam Borch.
We could just do Storley and Yamaguchi.
And Kizriev, we all like Kizriev, I believe, too. But that's a take. Johns is a dog. I know, Mr. Plus, you made some good points about Johns. Maybe I don't want to run to bet Kizriev. I actually said I was going to pass on that one before. So, Slick, what was it again? Run that back.
I was saying we could do Yamaguchi and Storley. It should be probably plus 100, plus 105 around there.
Should get us close to even money. Yeah, maybe it's just a 2-legger there. So.
Yeah, last week we went with a straight money bomb. Let's go let's go with one that's gonna get the people paid. Sounds good.
Right, the dog Darce was a little too spicy. We couldn't quite digest it. So hey, at least Max Holloway barked. But this one, maybe a more achievable 2-legger with Yamauchi, guy that's won against this opponent before, and Logan Storley, good veteran wrestler. So Darce podcast. Thank you very much for watching, guys. The PFL 3 featherweights and welterweights should be a fun night of action on Friday night, and we hope you guys can cash with whatever angles you are tailing. Thanks for being with us. My guy, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and Cal on the 1s and 2s. We'll be back with you soon enough for another event. Thanks for locking in, y'all. And if you're new to the channel, smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and lock in with us for MMA picks and analysis every single event, PFL, UFC, and more. This is the Darce Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.